live from 2 on your side. This is Channel 2 News at Noon.
Bit soggy start. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Stanonis.
And I'm Lauren Maroney. Yeah, not looking great out there.
It's a little dreary out there. We have some moderate to heavy rain that's moving through, and that'll be over the course of the next few hours. And really, I mean, we're looking at just a cooler trend in our temperatures pretty much for the next several days. So what a shift from a fabulous start to the week.
I know, it's such a downer. I feel like I've been looking forward to May because that feels like the first month where it's definitively spring. You're supposed to be able to expect those warmer temperatures, and that's just not what's happening.
Even though the averages are going up each day, not so much what we're actually experiencing.
No.
And it looks like, as I'll get into kind of the outlook for May and into the beginning of summer, we have to get through some cooler spells and some rain first. We even have some flakes that we're bringing back into the forecast for the higher terrain. So I'll take you through all of that. Right now we are tracking this area of low pressure that's coming in from the Ohio River Valley. That's what's bringing us the rainfall for today. Right now it is soggy out there from downtown up through Niagara Falls and south across the southern tier. We're tracking some heavy rain too, moving into Chautauqua County and into northern Pennsylvania, especially for McKean County, for the Bradford area. So we're going to zoom in and show you where we're seeing the communities getting impacted by this rain. Now, mostly light, any of that heaviest stuff has moved out of Buffalo. We had some moderate rain moving out of there, and now it's impacting Albion. We see some moderate rain just about to enter Albion area. We have through central Orleans County. Amherst, we have some rain into Lancaster, Lackawanna, into Grand Island as well. And let's zoom into street level downtown and see the rainfall there. You can see it has lightened up, so that's some good news. Niagara Square has some rain right now and along the 190. And we are going to continue to have the rain showers over the next several hours, although we are seeing spots it lightening up with the intensity, including for Boston, into Hamburg, North Collins, Evans. Further south we go, Chautauqua County right now. The western half of it getting that heavy rain. You can see those higher DBZ values indicated by the reds and the oranges. So some heavy rain right now moving through Mayville, just moved through Portland. It's headed towards Charlotte. Sherman along the 86 are seeing some rain showers there too. So let's put a tracker on this batch. It is continuing to move to the northeast as we're seeing as the system comes in, the flow coming from the southwest to the northeast. So we're going to see some of these communities being impacted by that moderate to heavy rainfall. Hanover, Dayton, Leon, Randolph, all going to be dealing with that batch of heavy rain. And look at McKean County. We're also seeing some of these heavy downpours there. Just south of Bradford, although you can see some of that moderate rain headed that direction, just passed through Kane along the 6th right now. Keating, Lafayette along the 219, seeing some heavy rainfall there. Port Allegheny and into Norwich. So we're going to be dealing with some just brief ponding on area roadways and reduced visibility. So just note that. Temperatures, we have said goodbye to those 70s and 60s. We are in a cooler flow of air now. You can see some upper 40s to low 50s, and even our record daily temperatures, highs for Lake Erie water temperature have come down too. We're now at 46 degrees. There's the rain. Yes, the hourly forecast showing just those on and off rain showers right through the evening, but this latest kind of soggier batch of rain with some moderate to heavy rain in there as well. Might even have some rumbles of thunder, embedded thunderstorms, but most of that thunderstorm activity does look like it'll stay south of us across central and western Pennsylvania. But here's all of this moisture that'll continue to move through, impacting us into the evening, although then it does lessen as we head into mid to later evening hours. So I'll show you that in a closer look at future look. First, I want to show you some of these rainfall totals. Not too impressive out of the system, but we'll probably see about ½ inch of rain from Buffalo inland into Warsaw, closer to around 1 inch of rain for, you can see portions of the southern tier and into northern Pennsylvania. Also, we're getting some of those heavier downpours. Future look, closer look here for our northern zone. So you can see Buffalo into Niagara Falls, Lockport, all going to be impacted by the latest rainfall into this evening, probably clipping the first half of the evening commute. But then that batch of rain does shift off to the east and northeast and just more nuisance rain shower after that. So it's really over the next few hours, we're going to be seeing that moderate to heavy rain at times. With this latest batch, it does shift out of here after about 5:30 p.m. for the most part, clearing our western zones. And then just more nuisance rainfall activity we'll be dealing with for pretty much the rest of the evening, but dry times as well. Nuisance isolated rain showers to start your day off tomorrow for the morning commute. However, it's going to be mainly dry for at least the start of the day. And even into the afternoon, we'll see a few more scattered rain showers in this coverage, but less impactful rainfall compared to today. So more nuisance activity, and probably again later Friday. So if we look at the next 7 days, we do have rain chances pretty much every single day, although it becomes more minimal for late week and into the first part of the weekend. We do dry up for the second half of the weekend. That's good, before rain chances do increase once again for early next week. We're also cooling off, you may have noticed, and that's going to continue that trend right on through the weekend with that cool pool of air, even chilly at times with those low temperatures for late in the week. So we have that trough of low pressure that's going to be just to the north of us. So it's going to continue to spin some of that moisture around, and also that cooler air is just going to be in place with those nuisance on and off showers pretty much for the next several days. So temperatures, as you can see on future look, they will be a drop in, and we'll actually even have some temperatures, highs mid to upper 40s. We're running about 10 to even 15 degrees below average for pretty much the rest of the week. Note Friday, we even dip down low 30s to start your day off. So need your winter jacket as you head out the door Friday morning. Yes, we are kind of going backwards on that calendar. Friday afternoon highs mid to upper 40s, and then note probably bottoming out with that cold Saturday morning. Potentially even right around 30, some upper 20s, especially as you head to portions of the southern tier, northern Pennsylvania. So that's going to be the coldest, and then we'll be increasing with our temperatures. But just note, rather chilly Friday morning, but especially Saturday morning. And then we will be going on up with our temperatures, at least Sunday's highs near 50, back to average for Monday. We got to get through a few days first of chilly conditions before we get back to that low 60s to start next week off, with some rain chances as well. So the rest of today, we are going to be dealing with the rain. High temperatures will be in those 50s. Lows tonight with some more nuisance rain shower activity. Low temperatures right around 40. Note sunset 8:14 p.m. So that's good. We're continuing to get longer and longer with our daylight hours. And your forecast for the rest of this week, we'll have those on and off showers. Nuisance for later Thursday, again later Friday. Temperatures, as you can see, going to be going down each day by a little bit. So as you can see, temperature trends into Saturday, going to be cooler, mid to upper 40s, low temperatures even in the 30s. But at least Sunday, after some nuisance showers to start off the weekend, we'll have plenty of dry time in there as well, with even some mix of clouds and sunshine. High temperatures on Sunday near 50, so at least we're going in the right direction. And especially as we head into early next week, we'll be back to at least some 50s and 60s. But in general, we're starting out May, and at least the first part of it, we're going to be below average. However, also wanted to note, we are still warming up every day with our average highs and lows. And by the end of next week, note that even though we'll be a little below average, our average daily high, 65, average daily low, 46. So that's great news for finishing off next week. And longer daylight hours continuing, sunrise by the end of next week, just before 6 a.m. and sunset closer to 8:30 p.m. So always liking that. So of course, all of that too, the flowers continuing to bloom in our garden and enjoying a little bit milder conditions as we head into next week. And we're getting that gardening forecast ready for you guys. And hopefully we'll have that even starting potentially for Mother's Day next Sunday. Temperature outlook, we are trending as we get into later May. It looks like Climate Prediction Center does show later May will start to be back to becoming above average with our temperatures. And this is also the outlook June and July. So in general, we're going to be trending that direction. Also, though, rain outlook does show we'll probably be a little above average with rain as well. So that'll be kind of what we're dealing with right now. When you look at the 2 months together of March and April, we're trending like one of the wettest combos of March and April on record.
Yeah, I'm actually going to talk about this a little bit in the next block, but spring to date, we are the second wettest on record.
Yes.
It has been a very wet spring, but I'm kind of just speaking about in general. We will talk more about that when we come back. I'm going to break down what our April looked like and what we can typically climatologically expect from May.
Welcome back to Storm Team 2 Beyond the Forecast. And Lauren, even though we are definitely chillier right now, April has been pretty warm overall.
Yeah, it has been quite warm. Just taking a look very simply at days above average and days below average. 21 days we were above average, 7 days below average. So 3 times the number of below average days were above average. Again, this is the first 28 days. We obviously don't have all the data for today and tomorrow, but also just in those above average days, they were pretty significantly above average. We had several days in the 60s and 70s. And speaking of the 70s, we had 10 days where we hit 70 degrees. So that is something that we've only done once before. That was back in 1985. That was over 40 years ago. We have had years where we hit 9. That was 3 years in total, 2008, 1960, and 1942. And if you were curious, what was it like last year in 2015? We did have 8 days where we hit 70 degrees. The average for April is supposed to be 4 days. Again, years can vary, but this has been quite a mild April. So taking a look at averages, again, this is to date, so the first 28 days, though this is taking into account the entire month, but taking into account the 29th and 30th, that would actually skew it typically higher. So right now the average, so the average of each day's average temperature has been just over 50 degrees. That places us right now, we are tied for 4th, I believe, with 2017 as well, with that same average. And the normal should be a little bit over 45. Again, this is the average temperatures, but if you want to talk the high temperatures, so our average high temperature has been just shy of 61 degrees. The normal should be just shy of 55 degrees. And also, our highs have been even warmer than our average temperatures. So this would actually put us at the 2nd warmest April on record. Again, that is to date with today's cooler temperatures and tomorrow's cooler temperatures. I think we're going to fall out of the top 5 in both of these categories. But right now, so far, it has been quite mild. It has also been quite wet. We have had 18 days so far with measurable precipitation. We are just shy of 5 inches total on the month today. We are getting a good amount of rainfall. That is certainly going to go up. An average is just a little bit over 3 inches to date. We've had multiple days where we had over a half an inch of rain. Even just last Saturday, that soggy, miserable day, we had over an inch of rain. So a very soggy April. And if you're curious, we are it's going to advance, 8th wettest on record. And again, that is without counting in the precipitation that we are going to be getting today, which I think could pretty easily get us into at least the top 5 for that. And that is on top of already having a record-setting March where we had just over 6 inches. I think it was 6.33 inches of rain. So it has been a very wet spring. In fact, wet spring start. So for just starting March 1st, through yesterday, so the 28th, we are the 2nd wettest on record. The only year that is beating us is 1991. And if we were to stop spring today with every other year before us, including their end of April and May, we would still be the 14th wettest on record. So that is a pretty impressive wet start we have had to spring. I think if we were to add just what the average rainfall is for May, that would put us, I think, pretty close, within the top 10 at least, because typically in May, we should see about 3.37 inches. So May, on average, is just about the middle when it comes to how wet our given months are. It's also about the same as we get in April and June. Now, talking snowfall, again, because it was so mild in April, we didn't have any of that snowfall. Wait, sorry, Ethan, did you tell me to wrap? Oh, okay, good, because I have so much more to talk about. Sorry about that. Okay, so we didn't have any measurable snow in the month of April. We had a couple days where we got a trace. That's where maybe there were some flakes flying, but nothing that accumulated. You have to get 1/10 of an inch for that to really count as an accumulation. So it's unsurprising that we didn't get any measurable snow given how mild it was, even though it was very wet. April does average about 2.5 inches, but as we head into May, on average, we shouldn't get any measurable snowfall. Now, this is not to say that we never get snowfall in May, but when we're looking at those averages, those are typically 30-year averages, and they go from 1990 to 2020. So 1989 most recently was our kind of big snow that we got in May, 7.9 inches. I think that was also on Mother's Day, so it was a very snowy Mother's Day. But there have been 11 years total where we got measurable snow in May. Several other years, about 20 plus other years, have had a trace of snow in May, but only 11 have had measurable. The most recent one was 2020, where we got 0.3 of an inch. But in general, May tends to be that first snow-free month. And there are those 3 years where we got over an inch. So it's not very typical that we see that, though it is possible. And part of that is because those temperatures are a lot warmer in May as we continue to get warmer. And that is also the latest we've ever seen a final freeze. On average, we should see our last freeze on the 26th of April again. Average, speaking in that 30-year average, the earliest we ever got it was March, but the latest has been in May. So if we hit freezing this month, which we might, looking at what our low temperatures are going to be heading into the end of this week and the weekend, but we should not see it later than this month. Last year we hit it at the 17th, but if we do manage to stay above freezing this end of the week and weekend as we do start May, our last freezing day will have been April 21st, so not too far off from what that average is. Again, those stories are kind of similar to what we saw for the highs, but I just wanted to point out that freezing. And obviously our sun angle is continuing. I like to check in on that. How are we looking for May? So on May 1st, our sun angle is 61 degrees in the sky, and by the end of the month, it should be 69. Now keep in mind, by the time we get to the summer solstice, that is around June 20th, I have to double check. It's normally the 20th, sometimes the 21st. But that sun angle will be at 72. So we are going to be approaching very near the peak sun angle by the time we end the month of May. Obviously, June has that highest sun angle. But along with that sun angle, we get those milder temperatures. We talk about how the average is going up every day. So by the time we start May, average temperatures should be in those low to mid 60s. And as we head through the month, we're looking at 70s for those averages. Again, averages, we can be below, we can be above. And I also want to highlight those low temperatures. Obviously, I talked about that final freeze date. And we always talk about how, you don't want to start your planting until around Memorial Day weekend. That is May 25th is Memorial Day. So the 24th, the average low, that's when we start getting into those averages in the 50s. That's when we're really not seeing those freezing temperatures. The 24th is actually that day where we saw that latest historical final freeze. So really that is the point where we should no longer be seeing those freezing temperatures. And honestly, looking at what the forecast is, these lows in the 50s sound really nice. I would like some highs in the 50s because we're going to be in the 40s for a while. And then just kind of looking at May in general, what are those records like? So the coldest May on record was in 1967 with an average temperature of 50. The warmest, 2018, an average temperature of 65. The snowiest, again, that 1989 with 7.9 inches. And the wettest was in 2011 with 8.09 inches. But the warmest temperature we've ever seen in May has been 93. That was in 2020. And the coldest we've ever seen was 26, and that was in 1947. Now, I know I have the tornado graphics up right now because May is not when we tend to peak in our tornado season, but that is when a lot of places across the southeast are starting to see that, especially in Tornado Alley in that Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas area. They're starting to see that as well. And I think we are going to talk about that a little bit. For us, we don't see that peak in tornado season until July. That's when we statistically see our most tornadoes, but we really have that June through August timeframe, that summer.
In general, yeah, on average about 1 to 2 tornadoes we average locally in Western New York. However, we've already had 3 confirmed touchdowns. It's been an early start to the tornadic severe weather.
And part of that, we've had that warmer weather with that increased instability, so it just kind of fuels that because our temperatures have been more like what we would see maybe in May or June.
It's that combo. So we have over the last 24 hours, even though we've been quiet enough here just tracking some rain, but over the last 24 hours, there's been severe weather from Dallas into Little Rock in parts of Missouri, St. Louis, large hail, tornado warnings. So here's more on that.
Within about 15 minutes, the sky went from being sunny to pitch black.
Rebecca Seiner is staying at the KOA campground on the northwest side of Springfield.
I have a dog who's scared of thunder, and I was trying to put her thunder coat on, and in that time frame, all of a sudden we started getting hit with hail. And they had to have been like golf ball size hails. I took some pictures. They're wild.
And those large, often spiked hailstones damaged some RVs, including Rebecca's.
We had a skylight that got broke, and it started raining on the inside. Thankfully, that's the only damage that we got. And our neighbor, same thing, he had a skylight that got broke.
A few miles away at the Sonic near West Bypass and Chestnut, the damage got worse.
Well, that's no good.
Daniel Shoemaker says he was trying to serve customers when he ran for cover.
I was getting ready to go out to stall 13 on that side of the building, but then I saw the hail get really big from the pea-sized hail we had at first when I first was walking through. Then I went back inside and made sure and walked to the back of the building because I don't want to be near the windows if they broke.
But unfortunately, his vehicle wasn't spared.
I found some hail in the front seat. If you look in there, there's a glass in the back seat, water everywhere. It's just, it was a dramatic turn of events out of nowhere.
Down the road, mass destruction at the Springfield-Branson National Airport.
2 to 3 inch size hail impacted all of the airport property, all 3,300 acres.
Airport officials say dozens of cars from rentals to those belonging to travelers were hit.
If you have a car that was parked here at the airport, it was likely impacted and received hail damage today. You should follow up with your car insurance if you need to determine next steps.
And if you plan on flying out, be sure to check your flight status.
The airport remains open, but airlines will be having their schedules impacted for likely several hours, if not a couple of days, due to this weather event.
And that was Francis Watson reporting. Remember a couple weeks ago, we were tracking some severe storms here,
Yes.
those hail tracks. Nothing like that, but quarter-size hail. I mean, we had several, especially across portions of Chautauqua, Cattaraugus County. Active season already for portions of the southern tier.
Yeah, and I feel like often when we talk about severe weather, tornadoes are the buzzword, but hail can cause so much damage.
Like we saw in portions of northern Cattaraugus County. Yeah, actually 2 rounds of it over the last several weeks. So yeah, already starting out with that active season of severe weather. More coming up after this break. All right, Lauren has a couple more tornado graphics for us before we wrap it up.
Yeah, so obviously we talked about how that June-August timeframe is typically when New York State does peak in its tornado season. We average for the state 1 in April, 1 in May, 1 in June, 3 in July around that peak, 2 in August, and then 1 in September. But we have already had 2 tornadoes in April and even 1 in March. So we had those 3 tornadoes. 2 of them came from the same event, and also, one of them was in just about the same location as our March tornado in Machias. That first one, that March one, was an EF1. The other 2 were EF0 tornadoes, but still a pretty active, severe season that we've had already so far.
Absolutely, at least right now, just some rain and cooler temperatures. Kev and Patrick will be back tomorrow at 12:30. Have a great day.